I'm Matthew Batten, and I am Tater.
I am Luis Quiñones, and I'm Tater.
Yo soy Marte y yo soy Tater.
Welcome back to the We Are Tater podcast. This is your host, Freddie, accompanied by my brother, and today we have a very special guest, Yan Gomes. Yan has been a Tater activist since we pretty much started the company, or when we became certified for major leagues. He's been with us for the last 4 or 5 years, repping the brand at the highest level. I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about him.
Yeah, Jan's been in and around, World Series champ, but we're happy to have him on with us on the team, man, as one of our guys. So without further ado, Jan.
What's going on, guys? Hey, thank you guys for having me. You guys have been awesome through my career, so I'm excited to get to chat with you guys.
Yeah, and I'm glad to have you on, and for everyone, this is this is going to be an open forum, so we haven't planned what we're going to talk about or anything like that. And Yan has been, man, you've been instrumental to our growth in the sense of believing in us, because I still remember the day that we sent you the sample bat when G was like, "Hey, you want to send a sample to Yan?" And I was like, "Absolutely, you're kidding me?" And ever since then, I mean, I still remember the spring training email from the clubhouse for the first order. I think you were actually like the second order we've ever gotten for an MLB spring training order. But you wanna fill in the folks on like maybe your first experience with Tater and how that was, whether it was with G or even when we met. I mean, whichever you feel more you want to talk about.
So, because I had some time to think about it. I think it was so to kind of background Guillermo. I kind of go back and forth with him. He lives here in Knoxville. I live now in Knoxville, Tennessee, and we kind of tend to hit in the off season together. Obviously, this off season has been a little bit. We can't really do that. And when he started talking about bat companies, he mentioned you guys, and I've always been. I want to say like a bat hog. Like I've always been like, hey man, whatever it is, whatever the luck of the bat is, I'll use it, man. And, so he had mentioned you guys, and I think it was middle of 2017. I ended up meeting you guys in Boston. I think that's where it was, and you guys we got to know each other a little bit. I could tell right away you guys were a very family oriented. You guys weren't one of those like, hey, we got a lot of money going in, let's get into this game. You guys were, very young at the time and wanted to, really get to know guys. And, I felt that. And I was like, man, I'm in. And then, as luck comes, you guys sent me one of the hardest bats I've ever used. And I think it ended up being, I want to say like 2 weeks later, we were playing Boston. And I'm like, you know what, man, let's give it a whirl. And I think I ended up having one of my better games that year. I think I hit a home run, and I was smoking the ball. I remember thinking I hit a ball, and it traveled really well. So I don't know if the luck was on both of our sides. The wind was blowing out, whatever it was. I was like, as a ball player, we're all, I think, this way. I was like, man, this thing kind of works. So I started, obviously, getting to know you guys a little bit more, and I think at the end of 17 is when I kind of exclusive became just using you guys. And again, we've been kind of getting to know each other a little bit more, and we get to see each other a lot, and, we send each other text. So it's been a really awesome experience in getting to know you guys.
Yeah. You know what? It's funny is that, I've never really told this story about how I made it to meet you at Fenway that one time. So I work a normal job, and I finagled it where I had a business proposal for consulting in Boston. And I said, hey, can you schedule it for this day? This is the only day I can make it work. And it was the day for the game. I said, I also can only make it work at 8:30 in the morning because I have to be somewhere later on. So then I think I crushed the presentation. And literally, like, I took an Uber straight to Fenway. I got there before the security guards were even there. and kind of weaseled my way, around, and ended up waiting in the like that little waiting area at the clubhouse.
Yeah.
And then I was so nervous. I was like, do I pop in? Do I wait? And I was like, oh, let me wait a little bit. And then that's where I saw Sandy, and then I asked him, and he was like, yeah, Jan's here. Come talk to him. And I remember that BP when you were hitting home runs with the NC91 was the model. I remember all the little details, man. I don't know. It's like
No,
those pivotal moments,
The bat was juiced.
We won't tell anybody.
Hey, good
though.
job. Great job.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And and G's been good to us, and so have you. And what would you say was like if there could be one bat that you loved since the time you've been working? Because I honestly never asked this question to a player.
Yeah, no, yeah. So I remember us in seeing. Well, we've ended up growing together now, and we've ended up doing my own model. We've kind of modified some stuff to, I just used one same model, but it was the NC91. I wish I still have it here at the house. And I remember you, a straight car salesman, man. You sold the bat to me like it was. I was riding around in a Lamborghini. You're like, hey, this is the hardest bat we've ever made, and this is it. Like, give it a try. And I was like, all right, man. And I still have it coming. I think we talk about this every time I'm putting an order in. I'm like, hey, put in a couple NC91s, do some of this. I was like, in case things hit the fan, at least I'm still using Tater, and I'm using the Lamborghini of Taters.
Oh, that's awesome. And so now obviously everybody's going to know you're a big leaguer. But not everybody knows like the struggle from, or the grind. And most people don't know, but Yan you're the first Brazilian MLB player in the history of MLB. So how did that, this is something I always was wondering, because Brazil's a big soccer country, right? So how did you get into baseball, and how was that process like?
Yeah. So I was born and raised in Brazil. I lived in a little city outside of São Paulo, which, it's kind of funny. It's famously known more for Neymar was born there and then moved. Me and him we didn't know each other at all. So yeah, and then I was around 6-7 years old. My dad was a tennis coach. It's really bouncing around story. My dad's a tennis coach. My mom's a swim coach. I don't know if you put those two together, you get baseball. I don't know.
Athletes, genetics.
Yeah. So he was actually teaching tennis lessons to, the little small community coach of baseball in Brazil. And they got to talking and said, hey, we have a kid. My dad never really thought anything about it. They met each other again at a supermarket or something like that. And he's like, hey, man, bring your kid out. It's this weekend. We do practices. And I remember it was kind of funny because I for some reason, I remember to this day, I remember having no idea what to do. Because we used to play stickball, in the streets, and we used to do kind of like cricket. You put a little house, and I would hit the ball, and I'm like, all right, run. So I would ran to third. It took a long time for me to realize that I had to run the other way, and so yeah, and it was one of those things. It was very strange going through the elementary schools there because. Everyone's playing soccer. I mean, I still very much so enjoyed soccer, but I'm over there taking dry hacks and throwing, and no one has any idea what I'm doing. But as I'm growing up, baseball became a passion, as it has for many people. And when we moved to the U.S., I moved to Florida, Miami. And, that's when kind of baseball took off. I had a very good Brazil did a tremendous job with building the basics of baseball. And when I grew up playing in Miami, I knew the basics of baseball, and then it was just kind of like kids having fun. And fortunately enough for me, I got some great opportunities to, go to a good high school, going to college, and then get drafted.
What was that point where you decided this is what I want to dedicate my life to, or something like that?
I mean, to be honest, man, I'm still kind of in shock of where I am, to be brutally honest, man. Like I said, I mean, as much as I played baseball, and it was a passion of mine. In Brazil, I never had I couldn't turn on the ESPN and watch major league games. So I like knew nothing about it. I just knew as much as I was playing in a little city in Brazil. So even when I got to here, to the US, playing through middle school, and then when I got to high school, it was the first time that I actually saw, like, I was extremely starstruck. I got to meet, so my coach was, one of his best friends was Shannon Stewart, who played left field for the Blue Jays, and the Twins for a long time, played for the A's as well. And so I got to meet him, and instantly he became, my favorite player. So got to watch him, and that's kind of like how I was like, oh man, I had no idea about the big leagues, man. And it really, still to this day, it's like college, I think it was, and I started getting talked about with baseball. And I mean, baseball was taking me through, I went from Brazil to Miami to Tennessee, so I understood that baseball was doing that. So, I mean, I was taking it seriously, but I didn't know it was going to be my job yet until really I got drafted, and I was like, oh man, they're giving me a paycheck now to do this. So,
That's awesome.
Yeah, I got to hang out with a lot of good guys, and very fortunate. Some of the guys that I was working out with in Miami that really like mentored me, and and then I started building a foundation of like my work ethic, and to get to and fortunate enough, I ended up making it to the big leagues.
So a question I wanted to ask you is, so far, since with your whole playing career, and I've been asking this to the couple other guys that we had on, it was what's been your happiest moment in your baseball career? From young age all the way to now. Is there a moment that really sticks out to you that you look back on and it was like, that was a great day?
Yeah, there's I can't single out one of them. There's a couple of them. Obviously, when I made my debut, I'm in Toronto, and I'm, at the time I was like a super utility guy, and I'm running out there to third, and I'm looking around, and I'm like, oh my goodness, this is the first time I ever stepped foot in a big league stadium. So I'm looking up, and you're looking, and there's a third deck now, and there's a sign of some. I wish I would have, like, actually done more with this, but there was a sign of I don't even remember if it was a guy or a girl, but they're holding out "Welcome Gomes" with the Brazilian flags on it, and I was like,
That's
"Oh
awesome.
man!" Like these people kind of know me. It was insane, and but then obviously going through some playoff experiences when I was in Cleveland with the Nats, and yes, winning the World Series was an amazing thing. Once you start playing and getting into the playoffs, and your kids, so I have 3 kids, and they start getting a little bit older, you start realizing you're playing the game for a different reason. You're playing for them. You want them to really see you out there and having a good time. And I remember, I still have a video of this. We beat the Cardinals at home, and we're celebrating, and my kids are like running at me, like they're super excited. They know they had an idea that we won, and getting to share that experience with them has definitely been the happiest moment of my career.
That's awesome, man.
I love to hear
Just
it.
got goosebumps.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
that's awesome.
I mean, it's still to this day, I still look at the video, and I'm like, I smile every time just seeing them enjoy it as much as I was.
Yeah, it's just those genuine moments, right, that you kind of work for and you don't really expect them. I think those are the turning points. I didn't know you were a super utility, man.
I knew that. I knew you played third base. I knew that.
Yeah,
I knew
it
that.
was very weird that year, because I was a catcher. I played a little bit of infield when I was in high school as well, and a little bit in college. And then I was kind of like logjam behind guys when I was in Toronto. So I kind of took it upon some of the coaches, and I'm like, hey man, like I can play different positions, put me anywhere. And I started playing first, started playing third, and then it just happened that I was doing well in AAA that year, and something happened at the big league level, and I got called up as a third baseman. And I was like, the first 2 months of me playing third base in professional baseball.
That's awesome.
Gotta love it.
Yeah. No. When did you start training catching? Was it like high school, college when you started really becoming a catcher, or?
So that's kind of a funny question, because actually having an answer for it, I think it's hilarious that when you started thinking that you were a catcher. One of my best friends when we were growing up in high school, he threw gas, and no one could catch him. So it became to where when he pitched, I would catch him because I was able to, we grew up together. We played catch. We threw bullpen, like did dumb things together. So I was like, I could catch you. And anytime I would throw, he would catch. So that's literally how I became a catcher.
Wow.
Like, because I could catch the guy that threw hard. And then as it went on, I was like a shortstop, and we had an older guy, and then I had to kind of move around, and then I started catching, and and I've always enjoyed playing a bunch of different positions, but probably should have stuck to catching a little earlier.
Do you ever feel like those days, like when you're, because this is what I kind of think about when I'm doing Tater, is there's those days where you feel like you're sacrificing, but at the end of the day, there's an end goal. Like whether it's when you were in college, because you got to grind, right? Like the workout days, and I know I don't think you have, from my perception of you, I don't think you have an issue with being able to put in the work ethic, and because I know G has spoken very highly of you, and you're not afraid to kind of work hard. But are there days that you kind of that are a little tougher than others, and what do you think about to get through those days?
Yeah. So what I was saying, very early on, I mean, I did not enjoy working out very much when I was like in high school. I mean, we were just all playing out of talent. Got to college, we had to work out, and there was those 6 a.m. workouts. Still thought that it was mainly like punishment. I didn't know anything about it. You're running at 6 o'clock in the morning, and then you're coming back and then working out. I'm like, cool, but man, I'm just here to play baseball. That's what I thought.
Mm-hmm.
I get it. It's the wrong mentality. Obviously, things have changed big time now. But then when I got drafted, I got to go work out with a lot of big leaguers down in Miami. It's called South Miami Sports Performance. And these guys, there was a lot of big leaguers, and one of them, I'm sure you guys have, Alex Cora was there.
Yeah.
We used to work out together. We became good friends at the time, and I started seeing his work ethic in like his off season, and I was like, Raul Ibanez, Placido Polanco, Alexi Ramirez, like all of these like established big leaguers, and they were like, working really hard, and I knew that I was way younger than all of them, and I knew I was like, man, I can keep up, I can actually push them, because I started to realize that working out was a big thing, and it kind of instilled in me, little conversations that we used to have, and just them taking me under their wing and like working me out and like understanding that this part is part of the job. It kind of engraved in my head that, man, this is for some reason, I don't know how this turned around happened. Like this became the easy part, the working out. I started enjoying it a lot more. And it was kind of like, I wasn't going to let this part be the one that held me back, So I started going absolutely nuts with working out and the off season, and, yeah, sure. Hard work pays off. And, it started showing when I was starting to play. I was way more, in shape and doing things, and my mentality started changing, which to now, I always instilled in my head that no matter where I'm doing, no matter what I'm doing, somebody else is trying to come get your job. That's kind of always been, and I wasn't going to like let someone else or anybody like outwork me. And that's kind of just in the mentality, even though maybe they were probably doing, 1,000 push-ups and I was doing 100, whatever it was. But in my mind, I was, trying to always feel like somebody's chasing me and, never settling on anything, which it's helped out in many aspects of my game, my life, and everything else.
I love that, because I think we try to do the same at Tater, just because being the little guy, right, in the industry. So we've been trying to really set the standard for ourselves, and we try to grind every day, and the constant pursuit of making the best quality bat and equipment. Do you have another question for your?
It was funny that you brought up Alex, because Alex has been one of those guys for us too. Cora, Freddie has a good relationship with him. I guess you could talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, what's crazy is that so I've actually the first time I went to bring him a fungo, believe it or not, was when he was at Yankee Stadium, and I parked my car at Yankee Stadium before the game or whatever. Bought a nosebleed ticket, got in early somehow, and they were hitting infield, outfield. And I'm walking down, and security guard just chasing me down, running me down. He's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm here to bring a fungo to Alex Cora." And he goes, "You don't know Alex Cora?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I definitely do." And the way he wanted to vet it out was that I had to show Alex Cora's cell phone number on my phone, and he needed to check it on his phone to make sure they were the same number. And then that's how I gave him the fungo, and he's been a big Tater guy for us, and now all the Red Sox and Ramon Vasquez as well all use the fungos. So it's like when you actually brought that up, I'm glad I said something because it makes like baseball's a small world. Baseball's a crazy small world.
Absolutely, and it's starting to sound like you've done some quite quirky things to get this company going.
Oh man,
that's hilarious, man.
There's a lot of stuff.
I can't wait to hear like, oh yeah, and I got arrested doing this. Just some kind of crazy story.
There's some stories that we can't tell for sure. Like there's the Cleveland story.
The Cleveland story. I think was he on the team?
I think he was on the team at that time.
There might have been a time where, in like around 2016, where I kind of made my way into
before we were certified, before we were big league approved, like so new to it.
I didn't know what I was doing. And I just brought a bunch of bats and I was practically throwing them on the field to see who would grab them just during BP. I didn't know the process, man. I didn't know, any better. We didn't have anybody, no connections at the time. But speaking of small world, have you ever felt like there's a moment where it was like, I can't believe, like baseball has kind of brought your community in terms of like maybe you go somewhere, because I know you've been to Cleveland, Washington, and now in the Cubs.
Yeah. I mean, I've played for some pretty special teams, some teams I haven't played for the Cubs yet, but like from the Blue Jays and you get to meet a lot in Oakland, and like you get to meet a lot of people on the way, and they become very special to you in throughout your career, and obviously through during the off season when you get to hang out. And but one of my favorite things is so we get to travel around a lot, and you start getting to meet baseball season is so long, and when I go into cities, I try to like kind of create some kind of like distraction, go visit somebody, go, meet people, and not so much like in the game, but like sometimes away from the game. And I've gotten to meet some like super unbelievable special people that now I call friends, from, guys with like the MLS soccer teams. We went to Denver, and I've gotten in contact with some people and got to meet some of them. Obviously, I don't know if you guys know, I'm a big UFC fan.
We were talking about that.
And one of my really good friends is Stipe from Cleveland. And I just feel like baseball, because there's so much love for this game, especially here in the U.S., that when you start getting to know guys, and then they're like, "Oh man, I love baseball too," and then we start talking about it, and then that relationship and little community forms. And it's definitely thankful for the game, because without these little ways of traveling and going to places, and I would have never gotten to meet some of these people.
That's awesome, man. And I'm sure they're excited to go, when they go watch you play and whatnot. And what's crazy is that when you brought up Oakland, I just remembered like, oh, you played with Marte, who was also the other guy that reps Tater at the highest level. How was that? Because I've actually been meaning to ask. I haven't asked him either. Mm-hmm. How was that when you guys like first met?
That was I'm trying to think like how to compare this to, like it's kind of like in a way being from the same country. You know what I mean? Like even though we don't know each other, we're like, hey man, you're from this place, hey, or whatever it is. And so you kind of like somewhat form this bond. And with him, I was like, hey man, you swing Tater? Yeah, me too. And we always knew whose bats they were. Like it was either, he's got a little bit of a thicker handle than mine. And I was like, oh, our bats were like next to each other, and I knew exactly which one mine. And I think there ended up being one other kid,
Machin,
Machin that ended up having. So that was cool, man. Like, and I know, especially the way you guys rep your brand, it's cool, man, because like everyone kind of, personally knows you guys. So if I say, man, Fargus Brothers, like they know who you guys are. It's not like, oh yeah, those guys from Tater. No, they, a lot of these guys know you guys personally. So it's it's a big ups for the way you guys run your company. It has been to where you feel like you're part of a family, and even we're just swinging pieces of wood out there. And I know obviously they mean a lot more to you guys, but you guys have definitely formed this kind of a brotherhood and a family with the bats.
Yeah, I love the way you brought that up, man. How, because we always wonder what the dynamic is like in the clubhouse when guys play together. Because the big thing for us is community. Like we have the Tater family. It's something that my dad, my mom have instilled on us. As we continue to get bigger in Tater and do more things, but at the same time maintaining those core values. And everyone have a personal relationship with everyone, but everyone is together at the same time. So it was funny that you said like coming from the same country, because it happens at every level. There's college guys that they come back in the off season. They're like, my roommate shows up to college first day and he's got a Tater, and I'm like, we're instantly friends. It's like that type of thing.
There you go.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome, man.
I'm proud of you. That's a word that I've never used before. Brotherhood. I think that's a new one. I like that one a lot. It kind of hits nail right on the head. But I'm curious. Do you have any questions for us?
Yeah, we're at the bat. No, I'm just kidding. You guys have been, not really, man. If anything, it's not so much of a question, but just like a thank you to you guys. You guys have been awesome, from companies, and I'm not trying to like bash any other company or anything, because I don't think that's the way you guys do it either. But you guys have been amazing, man. You guys have been doing a tremendous job in the game, and I kind of joke around with you guys, like, hey, man, like don't get too big on me. No, it's a credit to, again, like you said, like how you guys have been raised, and the core values of how you guys want to run this company. And there's a reason why guys enjoy using your bats, and guys enjoy getting to know you and hanging out, and somewhat like commit to you guys, man. Like I know we've never had that like sit down talk sign of like conversation, but I was like, man, I'm swinging your guys' bats, and it's not because, I mean, I'll tell you, it was because I was, doing well with your bats, but then it became because like, man, I like these guys, man. Like I can call Freddie, and it's not like, hey, I'll call you back in 2 weeks. Like, some bigger companies are like that. You can't blame them, but you guys are, really stick to your core values, and if anything, just stay that way. You guys have been a tremendous job in the way you guys have been running it.
Appreciate it, man. Yeah. That was something that one of our guys who works with us, he was like, I want you to ask you on that question. And you pretty much answered it already. It was like, the season is long. What's that commitment process like with bats? Obviously now things have changed where you've been with us for so long, and you have a couple different, you've gone different models, different weights, stuff like that. But there's those days that you might feel stronger, you might feel not as, into it that day. It's like, we appreciate you being that guy who's using Tater every day, because it's not easy. Some days you wake up, you're on the wrong side of the bed.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I'll be honest, that's how I kind of was before. I immaturely, I was blaming the bat. It's not the end, it's the arrow kind of thing. Like, it wasn't me that was not getting hits, was the bat. But then it was kind of like a joke. But once, I was like, man, like just stick to it. And it just happened that you guys, like you said, like you guys came around, and I started, enjoying using your bats. But then, that part, it's part of the game. But then, Freddie and I have had conversations of him sending me like a heavier bat, or sending me like, hey, this week or this order, like send me some 34, 31s, just so I can like have them around. And it has never become an issue. Freddie's like, hey, dude, they're on the way. They're there next week. It's always been super cool like that. And but it truly has been, man. And I've been super blessed to have gotten to know you guys, because you guys have been, super cool with me, and I've never had to worry about, oh man, hey Freddie, send me so and so's bad order, and I'm not, getting my, it's been really cool, man. You guys have and we've had that relationship to almost. Freddie just kind of makes his own bats and sends it to me. You know, like, hey, you're gonna like this now, man.
This is you for this year. You know what's funny? Now you say that. I remember when we went to Pittsburgh to bring you your Players Weekend bat, and you were like, "Yo, this is so nice. I'm not going to use it." And in my head, I was like, "No, you gotta use it."
No, you have to. That's actually kind of a funny story because I actually have it here in my basement. Because there was a really cool one because it had like the Brazilian flag on it, and I think we were in Kansas City when I was the Players Weekend, or maybe this might have been like on one another year. And I was like hitting it, and I used the first at bat, and I popped up. I was like, "Dang it, man! Like, I gotta use it again because I gotta get a hit with this thing." So then I use it again, and I got a hit, and I was like, I told the guys, I'm like, "Hey, stamp this bat and get it out of here." I was like, "This thing is like, I don't want to mess this up or break it."
Yeah, no, we did that. I think the first one was a full Brazilian flag, and then the other one we did when you were playing with the Nats.
Yeah.
We did like a Statue of Liberty, right?
No, it was the
Capitol
building with the flag.
That'll be a different place, but yeah.
Yeah. Hey, who knows? You never know.
No, but it's been great, man. Thank you again. Thank you guys for having me, man. You guys have been awesome. I enjoy the conversations that we had. Following you guys on Instagram and all the things that you guys do. You guys are doing a tremendous job.
Yeah, thank you for joining us, man. I appreciate you, and hope you have a good rest of your week.
Yeah, it's a pleasure, man.
We'll see you in spring training.
Yeah, and enjoy the family time before it starts.
I know. Hopefully it starts soon, man.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you guys again, man. You guys have been awesome.
No problem, man. Take care. Have a good one.
Appreciate it.
See you guys.
Peace.